Yo, what is up, guys? This is Troy D from the Troy D 24/7 Mall channel, your source for on point and no hype reviews. We are back again, everybody. We are back with another fragrance review right here, guys. And today I will be talking about the latest Frederic Malle fragrance. That's right, the new Frederic Malle, guys. And on top of that, this fragrance is also the latest to come out from Frederic Malle's Desert Gems collection, which is, I believe, a hallmark collection within the brand, guys. All right, so there's a lot of talks about this fragrance, a lot of hype, a lot of speculation about what this could possibly smell like post Frederic Malle exit. So today I'll give you guys the full lowdown on this scent. Let's go. Now, before I continue, please do not forget to like and subscribe, guys, okay? Liking, subscribing, and watching the ads is a great big deal to this channel, especially that we are headed towards 23,000 subscribers. I believe we are less than 50 away. So please continue all your support, guys. If this is the first time you've seen my channel, deep dive into all my videos. I've got over 700 no hype videos to assist you in your decision making, your purchasing of fragrances. Thank you so much for all your support. And the fragrance that we'll be talking about today is none other than, again, the latest fragrance to come out of Frederic Malle, part of the Desert Gems collection, which I love dearly. This is none other than Frederic Malle Hope. Yes, Frederic Malle Hope. Oh my goodness. This was not a cheap sample, guys. All right. Now, again, this fragrance is from the Desert Gems collection, which is basically your Middle Eastern Arabic collection. Very expensive collection from Frederic Malle, geared towards the Middle East, guys. And of course, none of these fragrances are cheap. These are pretty much some of the most expensive Frederic Malle fragrances, or just, you know, fragrances in general. Now, this one here is kind of controversial because this is a Desert Gem fragrance that came post Frederic Malle exit. So if you're not in the know, Frederic Malle left his own brand not so long ago and left it to the corporate heads to run it. Okay, so he's not really part, or maybe he is, but he's not really part of the whole creative direction anymore. So with that being said, guys, this made me very, very curious, because looking at this, I was like, well, first and foremost, it was a good decision for them to tap into the Desert Gems collection, which has been dormant for quite a while. I mean, my last review was the Night, and that was way, way back, really, when I owned the Night. And, you know, this collection hasn't grown yet, but it's still very popular with a lot of collectors that love Middle Eastern perfume. So good on them for continuing this. But of course, the curiosity is, you know, what's the smell of this? You know, what is this, considering the moon has its own kind of like fruity, Middle Eastern rosy smell. The dawn is something else. It's pretty much very comforting type of Middle Eastern smell. You have the Night that has your really, really animalic oud rose combination. And then you have Promise, which has your apple. You know, we've got the apple and embedded rose, and that's that type of Middle Eastern fragrance right there. Where does this stand? What is this? Is this a redundant one in the collection, or is Hope completely unique in the Desert Gems collection? That is what we will find out today. Let's go spray this thing right now. Okay, guys, now let's talk about this fragrance right here, Frederic Malle. And oh, by the way, Dominique Ropion is the perfumer of this fragrance. Okay, so Frederic Malle may have left the brand, but Dominique Ropion is on board with Hope. And wow, this intro, fantastic. All right, as an oud lover, as a Middle Eastern scent lover, I'm liking this intro right here. Right here in the opening notes, guys, you are going to get some juniper, some cypress, as well as some rosy facets from pink peppercorn spice. All right. Now, this intro, the moment I smelled it, I was like, I know what this is. All right. And it's not like any of the previous Desert Gems, but this is basically a nice green faceted Middle Eastern perfume. All right, and that is what you get. And as you guys know, juniper, cypress, these are fresh, natural smelling green notes. And that's here in this fragrance. But of course, guys, with that comes the early appearance of the oud as well as the pink peppercorn. That's basically a leeway into the embedded rose of this fragrance, guys. So again, juniper, cypress, pink pepper in this intro. Really uplifting, actually. Uplifting, green, masculine with, again, the Middle Eastern facets, though, of pink peppercorn that leeways into eventually Bulgarian rose. So there is that Middle Eastern facet, but again, masculine style with the fresh green components. Now, my first impression when I smelled this fragrance was, wow, all right, I loved it. And that's because I'm actually familiar with this type of Middle Eastern scent. It is not actually a well-known type of Middle Eastern scent, I would say, to the mainstream fragcom. But if, you know, you are living in the Middle East, I'm pretty sure you have smelled something like this. Because for me, the last time I smelled something like this was literally when I was in the Middle East, okay? Whether it was a Saudi or an Emirati or a Qatari gentleman wearing his garb as an upscale grabber, you know, would pass through and I could smell that masculine, like green. Middle Eastern style still has the pink pepper and the rose, but it's really that greenness, masculine with like leathery oud that I could smell around these guys. And I gotta say, it is wonderful. Okay, so again, it is a nice facet. It is a nice niche within the Middle Eastern perfumes. Definitely not generally known. So again, this one right here, very nice, composed, masculine, gentlemanly from the get-go. And again, it does develop into more of a more well-known Middle Eastern mix as the pink peppercorn goes into the mid, which has basically your dark Bulgarian rose, guys, okay? And of course, in the mid as well, you've got leathery oud starting to show up. It's leathery, woody, dark oud with some smoky facets. There's a lot of smoke in this fragrance, but I would say that the first part will allow you to really enjoy the greenness, guys. And I would say that the smoke here, although there's different smoky notes here, incense, there's a smoke accord, there's also vetiver, which is smoky. It's not like too suffocating, okay? It's not like smoke totally takes over the scent. You will get to enjoy the embedded Bulgarian rose. You'll get to enjoy the greenness. You'll get to enjoy the oud as well. Slightly leathery, woody, slightly animalic, but again, there is some smoke. Okay, now let's talk about initial sillage and projection on Frederic Malle's Hope. I gotta say, this one shocked me. Well, it didn't really shock me, but usually with the Desert Gems fragrances, they do come heavy and power-packed, all right? This one right here was actually not. It wasn't beastly by any means, although this one had a nice scent trail. But because this is a gentlemanly perfume, an Emirati, Qatari, Saudi man's gentlemanly perfume, this one actually was modest, all right? It was like modest. It's like a draw-in because of the pink peppercorn, the Bulgarian rose. You got some nice lingering greens right there with the cypress. I would say that this one right here is not a beast whatsoever. It did give me a nice lingering scent though. And that's enough for me because again, if you're coming in as a gent, as a gentleman, you don't have to come in with a lot of like power, you know, when it comes to the sillage, just enough to show some modesty, some control, some constraint. But nevertheless, it is not weak though, but it is not the beast that I thought it would be. Now, this Bulgarian rose also mixes in with some incense and again, that leathery oud. So you can say that this is a rose incense oud mix right in the mid, guys. And what's really cool about this really is that I feel that the mid is still going to be sandwiched by the green facets of the intro and the dry down notes in Frederic Malle's Hope. So actually, it's not like a full rose fragrance, okay? Because again, you'll get to enjoy the smoky facets and the green facets of this fragrance, guys. Now, heading into the dry down, guys, it does get green and earthy. That whole thing kind of resumes green, earthy, slightly smoky, continues on into the dry down. One of the most popular like green notes in Middle Eastern perfumes is cypriol oil. Cypriol oil actually takes over and gives you a comforting green feel. And you have vetiver included in this. And I mean, that really confirms this is a gentlemanly scent. It's got vetiver into the dry down. The oud continues as kind of like a leathery, woody oud. And then also you have some slight sweet amber, kind of like a final continuance from the rose that is in the middle of this fragrance, guys. But nevertheless, the dry down is going to be green. It's going to be earthy. It's going to be slightly smoky with some light amber right here, guys. And again, that kind of sandwiches the mid of that Bulgarian rose. So again, what's really cool is that it's gentlemanly to begin with, super upscale, gentlemanly Middle Eastern man, and then goes into classic, well-known Bulgarian rose, and then caught again near the end by some earthy, green, and leathery facets from the dry down of Hope. I like the combination right here. Now, with all that being said, guys, I really like this scent. Why? Because, again, this is really like a small corner of the oud Middle Eastern fragrance world, okay? This type of strain, if you will, of green masculine oud, this is actually not mass-produced. It's not really, you know, done by even like those Latafas, you know, they don't do that. Matter of fact, the only other ones I can remember that have this kind of smell is a Widian that I own, as well as a Boudicca. I think it was Al-Kut. I'm not sure, but it's a Boudicca and a Widian that has a similar scent profile to this. Not really well-known or well-massively produced, though it's a good corner of the oud Middle Eastern fragrance world to tap into, guys, like I said. And I mean, for the men, this is what it is, okay? This one's definitely not unisex. It's very masculine to begin with. It's not macho, it's just that it's gentlemanly. You know, very reserved, upscale type of gentleman. And obviously, this whole thing is geared towards the Middle Eastern customer. Your Qataris and Emiratis and Saudis that are actually wearing the full garb. I can definitely see, you know, any guy like that wear this as an upscale grabber. All right, it is a beautiful, beautiful scent. Thanks to Dominique Ropion, guys. So I really think if you are a guy, and I mean, you know, even if you are not a Middle Eastern man, I think that if you want to tap into what these guys are wearing, you want to tap into the culture, and you want to find out, hey, what are, you know, Middle Eastern, you know, men wearing on an upscale grabber daily basis, this is definitely one to wear. And with that being said, this is very usable, all right? It is not heavy enough. Like I told you guys, it's not a beastly heavy fragrance. It is not heavy enough to say, you know, it's only restricted to the fall-winter season or, you know, any type of cold weather, because this one right here is probably one of the most usable ones. You can wear it even in the high heat, because this is, again, very Middle Eastern in nature. Whether it's high heat or cool weather, you can wear this one. It's quite steady all throughout the fragrance, guys. Even the oud and the leather are not super imposing right here. The smoke is not super imposing right here, guys. So I think that this is a very, very usable upscale grabber for the Middle Eastern customer. And finally, let's talk about total performance. Guys, like I said, this wasn't really a beast. And this thing kind of calmed down, I would say, at the 9-hour mark. But nevertheless, it did go extend past 12. But don't expect super strong performance past the 9-hour mark. It really settled down into a nice, almost like lingering skin scent with a leathery oud, some slight sweet amber towards the end, earthy, But really the highlight of this fragrance, I'd say, is the intro with the juniper, the cypress, the Bulgarian rose, the smoke, the incense. I mean, all of this really is in the beginning parts, probably first 8 hours of wearing this fragrance. But nevertheless, still goes past 12, guys. And finally, let's look into the cost. This fragrance, as y'all know, is not cheap. As far as I know, this is like $800 to $1,000. I initially dealt with a decanter and he was like, oh man, I need you to pay right now because I just pelunked over $1,000 for this thing. So this is very expensive, okay? But again, couple things. One, it's one of the few really masculine, gentlemanly Middle Eastern perfumes that I can say is very high quality, well blended, great transitions, and is very usable. So wouldn't be surprised if this stuff right here, Hope, was, you know, getting bought out in the Middle East, you know, really wealthy, you know, man clients, gentlemanly clients are actually getting this stuff. I would not be surprised. Not so much, I think, outside of that realm. I think on the mainstream, maybe this will be likable, but it really depends on y'all. So get a sample, guys. And I believe there's also a 10 ml of this at $200. It was like the night, okay? But this sample right here I got from Fragrances Line for something like $40, okay? An expensive sample, no doubt. But it's a good way of testing this if you like this gentlemanly upscale strain of Middle Eastern perfumery. And that is it. That is my no hype review on this fragrance right here, Frederic Malle Hope, part of the, well, for me, beloved Desert Gems collection. I have all full bottles of the previous ones, guys. I think really Moon and Promise, these are the more mainstream likable ones. The Night, I believe, is, you know, one of those like animalic oud rose fragrances that some might not like. And Dawn and this one, I believe, are really more geared towards, you know, your Middle Eastern clients. I mean, those that truly understand the whole gig, not necessarily the mainstream crowd, mainstream fragcom world. Okay, and that is it. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think of this fragrance, if y'all have tried it. I'm really trying to steer away from the whole Frederic Malle drama. Just because he left does not mean this whole ship is going down. I mean, Acne Studios, which I reviewed, I liked it. And I like the brand. I like Acne Studios. I bought a full bottle for my wife. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe he didn't want to press any buttons to really unleash other potential fragrances that could be great. Well, the Desert Gems collection, they really tapped into it. I'm glad they did because, hey, you know, I mean, over the years, that whole thing might die and people might forget how awesome the Desert Gems collection is. So I'm really glad that they went into this collection, revived it by bringing in another fragrance, which is Hope. It's just freaking expensive, yo, but it's really nice. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next video. God bless. Take care. Peace.